Hello, this is Jerry,
And Jacob,
and we are two unrelated brothers. Welcome back, everybody. Hey, Jacob, what's going to be the topic of today's episode?
All right, we are going back to our reviewing specific games slash series, and we decided, kind of in the same vein of Dead Space, another horror-esque game. We're jumping into the Fear series.
Yeah, so you kind of went to horror. So why do you say horror-esque? Just because it's not like your kind of run and hide kind of type of horror?
Not just that, but I think it was more for me personally. It's more of an action game with horror elements, I would say. I guess we'll get into that more in a bit. I mean, I would still consider it a horror game, I guess. This one specifically, there are some jump scares. There are some good tension too and things like that. I know. I guess maybe because I was thinking just about Dead Space and that was the first game we got into. This is more like, oh, this is like for me personally, it was like, yeah, Dead Space was way scarier. Not to say it was bad, obviously, but
See, that's crazy because I mean, I'm sure we'll get into this later.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is just going to be a review of the first one. But
And then
the
we'll get
first,
to the next ones.
yeah. But the first one's considered like to be the scariest by a long shot, with a lot less action than 2 and 3 for sure.
Really? Okay then.
Yeah. I know you haven't played Fear 2 yet.
I was gonna say, yeah, I have not played Fear. Well, I played Fear 1 now, but I haven't played Fear 2. I played Fear 3. I know I mentioned this before with you, but I very vaguely remember it. So you're definitely more familiar with this series than me. Yeah, I would say this is the scariest one. Then yeah, I think the next one's definitely not gonna do much for me. I'm not trying to be like too negative here. Like this ain't shit. Like there were definitely some times in there where it's like, oh man, it got me, but it wasn't like bad.
Yeah, I mean the other one I would say is really good too, Fear 2,
Mm-hmm.
Project Origin. But to me that one is kind of like Dead Space 2 in the way that it's a proper mix of action and horror, I would say.
Okay. All right. Well, so before we jump into the excuse me, into the specifics of the game, what we liked about it, what we didn't like, all that stuff. A little backstory on Fear. So, full disclosure, I really thought for like the longest time this was like a PlayStation exclusive. I don't know why, but I just thought this is just made for the PS3 for the longest time. Probably because of like the marketing for it.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, especially considering that I'm pretty sure as you'll get into, the PS3 port's considered the worst one, right?
Yeah, so so this was developed by Monolith Productions. They've been around since the 90s, and they've done like good work, but nothing crazy. Like they did Alien vs Predator 2, The Matrix Online, that was crazy. The Condemned series, and more recently the Shadow of War and Shadow of Mordor games.
Yeah, I like those. Those are a good one. And
Mm-hmm.
and the Condemned series is also super creepy as well.
Yeah, I've seen that too, and the Operative series, another one called the Operative series, which is like kind of like an espionage 60s inspired
Mhm.
game, which I could, when looking at some gameplay of that, definitely could see some Fear DNA in there. Completely different vibe as far as like FPS go and stuff. I could see it. Um, so the bigger thing here is that it was originally published by a company called Vivendi Games,
Right.
and then later though they were bought by Warner Brothers. Um, some I don't know all the specifics. I am not a lawman, but
Yeah.
there is some shenanigans going on, and their old publisher Vivendi retained the rights to Fear, Warner Brothers. So
Yeah.
what I learned through this is that with the expansions and the ports, those are taken to different studios, not Monolith Productions.
Right. Yeah, I remember hearing about that because I mean, one of the things that I did aside from playing the game is I watched that video about Fear, what is it, the Rise and Fall of Fear by Gamers, GVMERS.
They are a
Which I,
godsend. Please check them out.
yes, great, great YouTube channel. But yeah, they talked about how they kind of nixed the, what is it, the DLCs on like 1 and 2.
Yeah, I didn't watch the whole thing. I just wanted to watch it up to the first F.E.A.R, but yeah, it seems already like it was pretty messy. So like they with the DLC Extraction Point and Perseus Mandate, those were developed by a studio called Timegate Studios to
Yeah.
to overall mixed reception, and the ports were given to Day One Studios, which I know that name because I know they did F.E.A.R 3. So that's probably how they got their relationship. So this is definitely how they got a relationship started with F.E.A.R.
Okay, yeah. That name does sound really familiar. So, you didn't really buy the game, I mean, you just bought it recently, right?
Yeah, so yeah, like you said, I think you mentioned it real quick here. We both played the PS3 port of this game.
Yeah.
Because I was at a retro store and I saw it. I'm like, Jerry talks about this, and I think this would be, I think, a good series to review. And it was not super cheap. It wasn't, it didn't break the bank or nothing. So I bought like the whole trilogy. And it wasn't until I started doing research on this when I was like almost done with the game, and I saw the reviews, and I'll talk about that right now. So it originally came out on October 7th, 2005 on the PC to pretty good reviews, like overall like an 88. Then in 2006, on Halloween 2006, it came out on Xbox 360 to about an 85. Still good. And then it came out finally on the PS3 in April of 2007. Overall
Yeah.
score on that was a 72. Big difference.
Yeah, and I recently just bought the PC ports. I'm gonna probably give those a try, just to see what the real difference is. 'Cause like you said, the PS3 version is considered the worst port, and I will say, so unlike the Dead Space videos that we did, I watched somebody play Dead Space, and on the F.E.A.R review, I actually played it.
Yeah.
And that gives you a whole different perspective because you're getting the feel of the game, seeing how outdated the controls are, if they're still tight or if they're loose, or, like if it's just, because the feeling of the game has, of course, a lot to do with how you feel, if the game's good or bad. I mean, there are some exceptions for sure. But one thing I definitely noticed with this on the PS3 ports and controllers, the controls sucked ass.
All right, I'm glad you said that because one of the heavy criticisms of the PSD port were awkward controls. And
Yeah.
I know in my notes too, my second or third note is I didn't say the controls were bad, but the controls are really weird. Yeah. And it feels good now knowing, see, like, okay, that wasn't just me. Another thing too, I hated about this, and this is unfortunately goes into one of the big criticisms of this game for me, specifically this port. There are no subtitles on the PS3 version. That is insane.
Yeah, I'm kind of hard of hearing, and I mean, honestly,
yeah,
and it fucked with me, like, because I was trying to play the game at night, and I didn't have my headphones on.
Yeah,
I couldn't have it loud. My girlfriend's sleeping. I couldn't hear what the fuck they were saying. Like, I have the story, like, I didn't even get.
It's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, especially because, like you said, the guy is talking really low because he's like briefing you. It's just this really fucking low, like, and it's like, oh, okay, I guess I gotta,
And that's the thing too. Yeah, it seemed like I was interested in like going through the game, the levels and stuff. I had a pretty good idea of what I needed to do, but I was never like, I never felt like I was in the know. Like, okay, I understand like you need mystery and stuff like that, but there's a difference between that and just going like, I guess I'll go this way because I feel like this is where I should go.
Right. Yeah, there were certain episodes where I felt like I was in a maze. I was just going in circles and circles.
And I know another big part of that too was that this of the overall game, not just a PS3 port, whereas kind of like the lack of variety in the environments. So it's kind of like you could get lost because it just looked kind of the same.
Yeah, everything was just this gray, concrete kind of jumble of a mess.
Which they did put on like budgets and time constraints, and they said they wanted it to kind of feel like you said, like that grimy feel, and it was like an office environment. So it is a lot of it is an office environment, so it is gonna be the same and stuff, which I do understand. But on the flip side of that is that you get a little lost and it just gets a little dull. So it's a double-edged sword.
So, do you have any other critiques as far as the controls or anything like that, or aesthetics?
Yeah, I guess before we get into that though, just to get, I guess, a little more into the history of this. I know one of the big things here is that I think we can definitely tell here with this too, is that it had heavy Eastern influences. And by Eastern, obviously the Asian market, specifically John Woo films. I think was it the
Hard boiled.
Hard boiled. Yes, thank you.
Yes.
Which I can definitely see, especially with Bullet Time and J horror.
Like The Grudge and whatnot, and
The
Ring.
Grudge, The Ring. That's a big one. And they said like they didn't like make Alma specifically as a reference, but it was more like, I mean, of course it kind of was the same little girl in a dress with long black hair and stuff. Like, yeah, that's the idea. So,
Yeah, to me though, it's like they borrowed heavily, because I mean that, I played this game when I was really young. Like I think I was in 8th grade, and coming back to it and seeing Alma and stuff, it's like I don't even see how I didn't even get that this was definitely based on the Ring girl, because she looks almost except because I know the Ring girl has like a white kind of gown on, and Alma has a red one, but other than that, it's the same creepy shit.
Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, I think the director of the game said it, like, a guy with a chainsaw, like you feel like, if you had to, you try to fight him, but like, a little girl in a dress, like what the hell do you do with that?
Yeah, and so okay, I don't want to get too far into the story yet because we're still
right. No, yeah, like I said, this was actually a lot harder to find info on than Dead Space, because by the time that happened, it was pretty easy. It was much easier to get that kind of info. Social media was starting to take off, and games were starting to become more, pricey, high budget and all that. So you did a lot more media and promotions and stuff. This is kind of a weird time. Still weren't quite there yet. So as far as like sales, I could not for the life of me find a good range of games. The closest I could get to is that probably about 500,000 units were sold on the PC on Steam, probably. And the revenue, not even like their profit, the revenue could range from like 10 million to 35 million.
So that's another thing. I remember during this kind of time, a lot of developers were keeping their profits really close to their chest as far as what they're making. Because I remember there was a lot of speculation about multiple games during this like 2005, 2007 time period.
Yeah, like this is like the tail end of the PS2 era and going into the PS3 and the Xbox 360.
Yeah, and so we're definitely keeping that in mind as we're playing this game as far as aesthetically, right? I mean,
oh yeah, like I understand.
But to me, like, I think we talked about this before, but remember that PS2 game Black?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that game looked really good, and to me that almost looked as good as F.E.A.R. So it's kind of like,
Okay, yeah. So like I guess now that we kind of like I said, that's as much info as I could have gotten, history-wise with the game and the studio. Well, I'm sure the studio has more, obviously, but specifically this game is about as much info as I could find. The only hardcore like number I could get is that it received a silver sales from a company or some representative in the UK that said that it sold at least 100,000 copies in the UK, and that's as hard as a number I could get anywhere.
Okay, yeah. So I'm looking on Metacritic right now, and the Metascore for at least the PS3 port right now is sitting at a 72 with a 76 as a user score for Metacritic.
That's about that's about right for me. I'll just flat out say it right now. I would have given this game like a 7.5 out of 10.
Okay, so what about, let's say you're playing this 2008? What do you think you'd give it? I mean, because our expectations have definitely been tempered by what's came out since then.
True, very true, and I really did try to keep that in mind. I'd still probably have some same issues because a lot of them were technical.
Okay.
Like I said, the no subtitles, and this isn't like, oh, no subtitles, but hey, you got like at least 2015 audio where it's crisp and you can at least make out 80% of what they're saying and fill in the rest. I legit could not really understand a lot, and I did play the PC port of F.E.A.R. because I bought it too, and I only tried out the first level just to see and compare.
Right.
Immediately has subtitles. I'm like, why did they not do this? I'm already wait. It has subtitles. That's the PC version.
What?
I can't say the Xbox version, but the PC has subtitles. That was my first reaction too. Like, are you kidding me?
Fuck?
And like,
Yeah.
and like obviously I have headphones, so I'm not gonna hold that against the PS3 because I don't have headphones. That's just not fair. But even then, I was like, okay, I could get invested in this now because I know what they're saying.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That's wow. Yeah. Because that killed me, man. The whole lack of
Hmm.
headphones, man. I couldn't. I mean, I kind of. I mean, I played it years ago, so I kind of remember. But it's one of those games too where a lot of the story information's like on audio logs or missed
Yeah.
calls. So you're really having to, well, first of all, you're having to find these things, kind of like Outlast, and
Hmm.
and and then play them, and then but if you can't hear them, it's like okay, what okay.
And not only that, but like there's a lot of other sounds going on, and I turn stuff down. I didn't want to turn it out too much, or else I'm going to miss out a
Yeah.
lot of the scares. But I had to turn them down a lot because I know specifically one part where I blew up a mine, and big explosion goes off, and like there's like electricity, crackling, like, and then I go to an audio, a phone to play the message, and I don't hear any of it because I just hear electricity in the background. It's like I don't understand a fucking thing that this person's saying.
Yes. And to Fear's credit, I feel like one of the things that it did really well was the music and even the I guess maybe sound effects. It would just have this depending on the level, it would just be on a loop. Like maybe you'd hear a little girl going, like
Yeah.
something like that, and that was really creepy, especially in a dark, dank building
Hmm.
or whatever. It's like and then same thing too is there's parts of the game when where you're going in with like Delta Force operators,
Hmm.
and they just all get wiped out. So you never really feel safe in this game. I'll say when you're playing.
Yeah, for sure. I was just saying like those are bad audio things, but where I will give it credit for is the sound design, like you said, it's it's very simple. It's not this overwhelming score. It's just kind of there in the background. Like a lot of time there's
Creepy. Yeah.
silence, exactly. And
Yeah.
then like once I didn't realize how good this was. This is a sign of a good game. It's like I think when you're in like in the sewer section or something,
Yeah.
my own footsteps were scaring me because it's like, was that someone else? Was that just me? And that's good. That's what you want to feel in that kind of environment.
Yeah, that was I mean, it definitely did that good. And like I said, I found those kind of like add-ons of like maybe things that weren't supposed to be there. Like as far as noises, like maybe people whispering or talking and
Yeah.
like that just added a whole, because even, an office building shouldn't be scary or,
Hmm.
freaking you out, but it did that. As far as the design goes, all the lights were dimmed, like maybe an
Hmm.
emergency generator was running or something, and you would still have that like somebody whispering, and then you had those invisible guys jumping out too.
Yeah, I really like the invisible enemies, and I wish they were used a little bit more. I understand why you don't want to do that too much, or else loses its effect. But I think it's only like two
Yeah.
sequences where they show up, and then it's like, but those two times I'm like, I am walking very carefully everywhere because it's like Predator. Like I can't just run around like this. I gotta be careful. These guys are gonna wreck me.
Yeah, dude, those guys are creepy, man. So what was your favorite weapon you think you used? 'Cause I know
Shotgun,
mine. The shotgun. The
shotgun.
shotgun. Yeah, the shotgun blew people to bits. Now, but let me ask you this:
Hmm.
did you use the nail gun?
No, and see, like I was looking at that, I'm like, where did I miss this? I couldn't find it.
Yeah. So I think on the at least this is another thing that's kind of unique to the PS3 version is you have these I guess kind of situations where it's like a single mission. It's not necessarily story
Oh,
based.
okay. Yeah, I see all that.
I forget exactly what they're called, but yeah, it's definitely like a single kind of tactical mission or whatever where you're running
Hmm.
around and just completing a simple objective and whatever happens at the end. And there's one of them where you get to use the nail gun quite a bit. I think it's called the penetrator,
Yeah.
and that is pretty crazy. Like
Wait,
I
oh,
remember,
that's what it was. Oh,
yeah,
then shit, I never picked that up. I just thought it was like a submachine gun. Shit.
no, dude, that's the nail gun.
Oh, damn
Okay,
it.
yeah. I highly recommend maybe on PC or whatever you go
Yeah.
back pick up that penetrator and mow through some people because that
Oh,
one is good.
that's gotta look so good too in bullet time.
Oh yeah, dude,
Or
and they will
reflex mode, whatever
stick
they
to a
call it.
wall.
Hmm.
I crucified somebody.
Jesus, Jerry. Can we say that?
Yeah,
God
yeah,
damn.
yeah. It was fun.
Yeah, no, I will say one thing I liked I really loved about this game. It is fucking brutal.
Yes.
It, like you said, like you just crucified a man to the wall. Shotgun can blows people's limbs off, their heads. It can sometimes it just straight up disintegrates a man.
Yeah, it blew them in half. Man, they to me that's one thing they really hit the mark on that John Woo, hard boiled style
Yeah.
of aesthetics. Because I mean that slow mo you hit him with the shotgun or even throwing a grenade, and
Hmm.
you
Like shoot it in
you
midair.
you throw that grenade and you just watch it blow up like next to somebody and they just pink mist everywhere.
It's insane.
Jeez. Yeah.
Another thing I like too, it was a little annoying, but sometimes depending on what was happening, but how like when you shot the walls and stuff, all of that what's
Dust
that dust and it's like
and
it's
debris.
yeah, debris, and it's just wild. You can't see shit, and
Yes,
sometimes it
yes,
could be
yes.
annoying, but I think for the most part it just added to that aesthetic. And like you said, once I heard the name John Woo, I'm like 100% they nailed that.
Yeah, that was like, I mean, there'd be times where you'd have to stop shooting for a little bit just to
Yeah.
get your bearings because there's just dust kicked up, holes on the wall. I mean, that was like as a 13-year-old kid, it was like, oh shit, that's
I mean,
crazy.
hell, as a 28-year-old man, that was still crazy. It was like I think that's why I was saying like I consider this more of an action game than the horror
Hmm.
game. It's just because they did the action so well. Like it's not really a detriment to the it's not a criticism of the horror. I just think they fucking nailed the action.
Yeah, they did, and that's one of the pluses and minuses I'll say of the game because I wish there was more of it.
Hmm.
Like if they just made an action game with all that shit, dude, I'd buy that now, even if it had the same shitty graphics and everything. I mean,
Like
that was cool.
yeah, like one of the favorite things is when like I used melee a couple of times to like get create some space between me and the enemies.
Right.
I remember once I accidentally no I was jumping and there's like a replica guy around the corner.
Mhm.
I didn't see him when I was jumping, so I just I panicked and pressed the melee. I had no idea that there was a kick option, so I just see
Yes.
fucking Point Man kung fu bicycle kick this dude. I'm like, that's fucking awesome.
Yeah, dude, it's definitely like man, that game where you're that free runner girl. Fuck, I forgot what it's called.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it was like I mean, you could do some crazy kicks and stuff, some crazy moves. They're still
Yeah.
pretty stiff, but it's cool to see.
No, yeah, it wasn't like you could do all these crazy things, but still just having that as an option was pretty cool. And then another thing too, and I know like pretty much everyone who's played this universally agrees on this, is that I was very impressed. I've heard about it,
Hmm.
but I just thought like it was gonna be okay. No, it lives up to the hype for sure. The AI is amazing in this game.
Yeah, yeah, they really do seem to plan because I know everything else, like before this, everything was pre-canned with
Hmm.
like some scripted things that if something happened in between, well, okay, if this, then do that. If this, then do the, you know what I mean? Where this, they really seem to try to go around you and flank you, and they know if, like for instance, if you're in one doorway, they're gonna try to push through another way if possible, and if
Hmm.
not, they're gonna throw a grenade. They're gonna try to get you to move.
Yeah, yeah. The so one of the big things that came out of this was the one of the first games, or might be the first game that uses the AI system goal oriented action planning, which is basically instead of reacting to the player, the AI actually thinks on how to defeat the player, like before anything even happens.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Which,
so you
which
did you really notice that though? Like I mean you really did?
yeah, I think one of them was so I didn't notice it at first because it's kind of just going through there and like it was okay at first, but there are certain points in this game where it's like really tough. Like it's a long sequence, especially if you die halfway through and it's like, well, you gotta start back at the beginning of this. It's like I have to kill like 50 dudes. I was like at 40. Come on, man. Um, so and
Yeah.
it's one of those things where we, if that would happen to you, I think in a lot of games, you would see what worked, do that same thing, and then do something different at that point of death.
Hmm.
You can't do that in this game because it's going to be different like 5% in, because the AI will do something different this time, and it completely throws a wrench in your plans if you're not able to adapt.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, there's a couple times I died But I mean, it was just so fun. Like once you get a hang of it, you're throwing grenades and slow mowing people.
Yeah, like you
It's a
really
good
have
time.
it forces you to change up the way you play because like I'm not the best at first person shooters, and specifically on the PS3 where the controls in there can all of a sudden go wonky. I don't know if that happened
Mhm.
with you, uh, but when it all comes together and like the controls are fine, the slow mo and the enemies like going through everywhere, it's incredibly satisfying to finally like have it all settle down. The dust settles, and you just go, oh, all right, you killed all these fuckers.
Hell yeah, that one. It
Like,
was cool to like then turn around and see all the carnage left
yeah,
behind.
it's insane. Just and then oh, one thing that made me laugh too was when like if you corner them or something in an office, they'll jump out the windows. And I had like two of them do that at the same time. It's like, good God, it looked a little funny, but it was actually pretty cool too that they're both like, nah, fuck this, so I'm out.
Yeah, they really do try to adapt and uh, I guess take you out in a way where they can kind of preserve themselves.
Yeah, and then they'll like I got flanked a good amount of times. And that's when I learned like I gotta move. I cannot get pinned down or else they're gonna get me.
What difficulty did you play it on?
I did on moderate. Um,
Okay, yeah,
and
me
then
too.
I did the bonus mission. I did that on easy because I just wanted just to see what it was about. Um,
Did you
yeah,
like that?
I it was cool. It wasn't necessary. I mean, it's bonus, but it gives a little, I guess, a little fills out a little lore in there in one certain part. Um, yeah, so I did on moderate, and I think I'll probably do the rest of them on moderate too, because I don't want it to be too easy.
Yeah. So, speaking of the story, what about the characters? What do you think about like Paxton Patel and the Point Man, especially because your first foray with them, I would say, would be Fear 3, where
Yeah,
you already had all this history. And that was the first time you ever really seen these guys and anything like that. So what was it like actually putting a background to them?
Appointment's still basically a blank slate to me, which is the point I imagined for this game.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, and then Fattel, like I said, maybe they did flesh him out. I don't know though because I couldn't hear those audio logs. I knew things like he was a son of Alma, and he was a psychic. He ate people, and that's about it. That's about it. I just because again I couldn't understand anything that was being said about him.
yeah, it's so unfortunate because
It is very unfortunate because now it's like I kind of want to play the PC or maybe just look up like a synopsis on this just to like fill in the gaps here, and then I can just go, oh, that's actually pretty cool. But like as of right now, because of that audio issue, it's like I can't. I don't have much to say. It's unfortunate.
yeah, it's
What about for you? Do you feel like because you played such a long time ago and you remember definitely more than me, especially since you played all three of the games, and pretty much when they came out as well. Did you learn anything new, or is it like kind of the same boat as me, where it's like I just don't know what's happening?
yeah, I felt that way because as a kid, like you have your stuff up all the way up loud or
Hmm.
whatever. And I couldn't really do that, uh, with everybody around me or whatever. So
Yeah.
I couldn't really hear what was going on, but I picked up bits and pieces.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, it was good. I mean, it was cool, but at the same time, there still was a lot of mystery. I mean, I don't know if you want to get into the main big uh, reveal. I mean, obviously spoilers. I mean, this game came out in 2005, 2007.
7, yeah. Yeah,
Well,
let's
it
just
came out
go
on
for it.
PC in 2005.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's actually, I mean, it's quite
Old.
old.
It's old. I
Yes,
mean, it's been 10 years since the last game came out, Fear 3.
really.
2011.
Yeah, I remember seeing commercials for that and being hyped about it.
I
And then,
remember specifically we'll mention it again when we talk about that, but I remember specifically the Marilyn Manson song they used for it.
yeah, that was dope.
What's it called? Something Horses.
Yeah, and I don't remember,
But it's a
but
really good song. I got that song because of that commercial.
yeah, I mean, and so I don't know. I really I enjoyed the game, but at the same time, I was able to see all of the um, issues from before.
Yeah,
Or
especially too now, like I said, not only because of the time, but like it's not a bad port. It's not good though. They definitely could have. I don't know what exactly was up. I know the PS3, especially when it first came out, was a bitch to program for. So that's probably had a lot to do with it. Um, because apparently like the Xbox one was almost just as good as the PC, minus some things.
yeah,
But for some reason the PS3 was just hard to handle.
well, believe it or not, that was actually an issue for multiple people, multiple games. It was the way that the PS3's hardware or software was configured, made it hard for ports. Period.
Mm.
Uh,
Okay, that probably had a lot to do with it. And then when it comes to like
yeah,
a game like that, where the gameplay, like the gameplay for any game should be important, but specifically for that kind of game, especially a first-person shooter, the controls are twice as important.
yeah, but I feel like that might just part of it might have just come with age. Because I've played a couple shooters, from back in the day
Hmm.
that obviously are not as tight as what we're used to now with PS4, PS5 era
Yeah,
games. Things are
that's true.
much, much tighter now.
That's true.
Like even
I
like I
guess we'll
said,
see with Fear
yeah,
2.
yeah, which I'm excited to play. Is that well? To be honest, I'm really excited for Fear 3, even though that's the most action kind of one because we get to
Mhm.
play it together. I think that's gonna be a good time.
Yeah, I think we'll probably. It's like yeah, it was just a quick tangent here. The second one, we're probably gonna play on the PC, huh? Unless you want
Maybe.
to do it on the PS3 and I could do it on the PC to compare.
I mean, yeah, we can both do it on PC.
And then Fear 3, that way,
We
yeah,
can.
we'll try to play together.
Do you have it on PC and PS3
I got the
or?
whole trilogy on PC. I got it for cheap, so.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I think I bought. Yeah, I think I bought them last night. All of them.
Okay, you did the autumn sale.
Yeah, I actually bought a few games, a lot of games.
Nice, nice. Yeah, yeah, I got it on sale too. So, all right, perfect. We'll do that. But yeah, I guess back to this. This what parts do you remember scares you the most? Were there certain
Okay.
sequences that really got you? Because it seems to
Yes.
me like it got you a bit more than it got me.
Okay, so there was well, because I played it so young. There were
Mm.
scenes that I remember scaring the shit out of me back then that I remember when they were coming up now. Even so many years later. This is back in 2007, 2008.
Mhm.
So this is, 13, 14 years later, and I still remember exactly what's going to happen, exactly when it's going to happen. Um, yeah, so there's a scene early on, I think in the first mission,
Mhm.
where you're climbing, you're climbing up or down. No, you're climbing down a ladder,
Uh-huh.
and whenever you get past a certain landing, or no,
Mhm.
you're climbing up, and whenever you get up to a certain landing, Alma's standing there, and it's like, oh fuck.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
one,
yeah, yeah.
that one scared me. And then that scene where she really makes her first full like show of herself, and there's fire all around and everything's blowing
Mhm.
up. She's just walking towards you and you're shooting and you're backing up and you jump out the window.
Yeah.
That one was cool. Man, there's a couple like where a light would hit a certain way where you just see a little girl shadow walk past you,
Yeah. Oh God.
or even randomly you would look off to a corner and she'd just be standing there in like random sections.
Yeah, and because they do it in a really good way, where it's just like, did I really do question it a couple of times, where it's like, okay, was she really there, or is it because like I'm so on edge, I'm seeing shit,
Yeah,
and that, which is
man, those.
again, that's a good sign. The one that stuck with me, I've never played this game, but I did play like a demo of it, like in GameStop way back before when it was first coming out. That's how old I am. Um, and it was the part that when I got to it, I immediately got flashbacks. Was the upside down blood hallway.
Yeah,
And that
that'll
happened.
get
I'm
you.
like, no, I'm not okay with this.
Yeah, that's a good one. And see, that one kind of got me too, but yeah, that was the good one. And then the end. Did the end get you?
My note here. Okay, so like, since I kind of I knew, I kind of knew, I did know Paxton and Point Man were related. That wasn't a huge twist to me, but
Mhm.
having it revealed like that was kind of cool. It was a little underwhelming, just kind of him
Mhm.
showing up and then you just shoot him. Um, but then after that, turning around, seeing like the replicas just standing still because Paxton's in control of them, and now that he's dead, they're basically useless. That was eerie. And then the very next thing I wrote is, what the fuck is happening right now? Because shit goes down after that.
Yeah, it's like a whole reactor explode. Yeah, even so, I played it and then I wasn't really sure what was going on. So then I watched that segment on YouTube again to see like maybe if I missed something in all the action.
Yeah.
And yeah, that I don't know, that just seemed like a fuck fest.
That whole ending, that game takes a hard. It gets, like I said, that's when it becomes like an action game to kind of like that way more horror. Like it's it just gets really weird.
Now, did your first introduction to Paxton get you when you walk outside and he nails you with that board? Were you expecting that?
Oh no, that did get me. It wasn't like terrifying, obviously, but it was more like, ah, God, I did, yeah, that
Yeah,
I didn't see coming at all. Should have.
yeah, yeah.
Because he did show up a bit, but you can miss it quick. God, yeah, I would say like that last level where you're just trying to get out of that secret building underground. That whole thing, I was on edge the whole time. Not so much with like the demons coming out, whatever the
Yeah.
ghosts. They were a little scary, but that's whatever. It was just the feeling like it's pitch black. And then that's when you can really tell with the sound design because you don't have to worry about audio or nothing. It's just you need to get the hell out of here. So you're like you're not even on the edge. You falling off. You're just hanging on now. It's intense. I
Yeah,
really enjoyed the last level.
but it was the opposite for me. I guess maybe
Really.
because when I played it when I was younger, those
Mhm.
those little demons were what scared me. Even though they're like one or two shots, those creeped me
Right.
out beyond
Mhm.
beyond all belief. Um, and then but what I meant by did the ending get you is whenever you get picked up by the helicopter and you're like,
Oh,
okay, I'm
and
safe.
and Alma shows up. Yeah, crawls in there.
Yeah, yeah, you're already like 150 feet in the air. Next thing you know, almost climbing onto the helicopter somehow.
Yeah, so I'm like, oh shit. It didn't like scare me, scare me. It was more like, oh come on, and not in a bad way. It's like, it's over. Leave me alone. Um, yeah, and then yeah, I can't really judge that twist too much because since I already knew what was gonna happen, so
Right.
I tried my best to like given everything that's happening with like the flashbacks and like whenever you have these visions and stuff,
Hmm.
like I really am trying to think like fairly like if I did not play Fear 3 and I went in this blind, would I have guessed that he was like a child of Alma? I might have guessed that. I don't think that I would have guessed that him and Paxton were brothers though.
And see, what also kind of throws you off the trail too is the fact that Alma shows up as a little girl, not as a
Yeah,
grown
like
woman.
yeah, that was a good one. I forgot about that one.
So it's not really until the very end that or well, mid part into the game, but slowly she starts to show, I guess, her adult form, I guess you'd
Mhm.
say. But yeah, majority of the game she sticks around as a child when you see her. So you're thinking you're fighting some kind of kid ghost.
Mhm.
Turns out no, you're fighting a grown ass woman who happens to be your mother.
Yeah, it was really weird, which might also explain too why she wasn't super aggressive towards him. Like she would fuck with him, but she could easily kill all these other people, but like didn't do that to Point Man. Now it's like, okay, that gives like an in-universe reason why that doesn't happen.
Yeah, that did make a little bit more sense because
Hmm.
like that opening, I think it was that first level, you go in with all these guys
Yeah.
who are like legit a part of Delta Force, and if you know anything about Delta Force, those guys are supposed to be like top of the top, like Navy SEAL motherfuckers. Well, I
Hmm.
think they're like above Navy SEALs or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, and next thing you know, they're just fucking this electricity kind of mist shits just tearing them apart, and there's just skeletons left.
Yeah.
And I mean, it happens when you're off to the side in another building watching them because you got to press a button to let them in,
Yeah.
and so you're kind of out of that area. But it's like maybe she chose to wait until you were away to do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. And you just get back and just just a bloodbath, an actual bloodbath.
Yeah, literally. And I think she does this a couple of times as far as just disintegrating people.
Yeah, it happens a good ending. Like that's how the that bonus mission ends.
Yeah, I do remember that. Um, yeah, so with all this being said, do you think you'd be interested in playing some of the DLCs for this?
Maybe it depends. I mean, now that I have it on PC, that'd be a good way to like kind of like test out that with the controls and see how it is. Like I said, at least try to fill in the blanks here of the story because that's like the biggest. That's like one of my biggest gripe on it. That the audio issues with the lack of subtitles really killed. I think any kind of chance for the plot to suck me in. Unfortunately, um, I really like the game. As far as like the actual game, I enjoyed it a lot. Controls are still weird though.
Yeah.
I imagine this is more of the age thing than the actual game at the time. But once in a while, especially in bullet time, if you make like a sudden move, you'll fucking go flying off to like the opposite side of where you want to go, and you get like wrecked by the replicas. It was a lot of stop and go for me. More go than stop, but there was a couple sequences where it's just like it just made me a little more angry than like I guess determined to beat it.
Yeah, and I'm looking here just at some of the plot points, which kind of sucks that we got to look even after playing the game. We got to look through Wikipedia to see. But it says that basically Alma was controlling all the clues lead F.E.A.R to believe, like because F.E.A.R actually is an acronym, stands for First Encounter Assault Recon.
Right.
So they believe that F.E.A.R is actually being controlled by Alma, who was locked up in the Origin facility, which was shut down because of the danger that Alma posed, and that basically F.E.A.R was going around trying to free his mom. And that there was hints that there was another child born before him, but it doesn't say who that child may be.
Right.
Which, as we both know later, comes out that you were the first son.
Yeah, Point Man.
Yeah. But here at the end, it says that Alma is nonetheless freed when her storage chamber is opened, which I don't know if you remember that scene at the very end.
Yeah.
It's opened by ATC researcher and leader of Project Origin, Harlan Wade, which I don't know if you... Did you hear his name a lot? Because a lot of his... the calls on the phone were messages from Wade or about Wade.
Yeah, I remember that, and then it took a while to piece it until like the very end, like, oh shit, yeah, this is the guy from the visions who was like, you will be a god among men.
So that's actually Alma's father.
Oh, that's her granddaddy.
Yeah. And so a wounded mate tasked the Point Man to sabotage. So remember when you're shooting all those electrical kind of cylinders? So
yeah,
you were actually destroying a nuclear reactor.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. So so that's kind of what so it goes off, and then somehow you survive, and you're extracted from that using that Black Hawk helicopter. And let's see. Yeah, and then Alma somehow, pulls herself up onto the helicopter, which it did make me wonder, like, hey, what's really happening? Like what happened to Point Man? Because the second game you don't play as Point Man, you play as somebody totally different.
Right.
But yeah, so I feel like that's all cool, but just during the time,
you want to like experience that as it's happening, not read about it after the fact.
Yeah, I mean, I picked up bits and pieces, like they're kind of like talking about kids, or they're talking, and I think according to one of the messages, she was like impregnated at like 15 or some shit.
Yeah, I think I caught that. Yeah, I caught that too.
Yeah, it's like,
yeah, I know.
Yeah, and there's also a comic book as well, and it says, let's see, there's a couple of action vignettes that help clarify the number of plot elements depicted. And Yeah, so I thought that was kind of interesting, and I haven't seen those even to this day. So
Hmm.
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, it makes back for me. I think honestly, like I said, I enjoyed the game.
Mhm.
Plot was basically non-existent to me. I think I'm pretty much in agreement with like the consensus of this specific port. I'm sure if I played on PC, it'd be like a 9 out of 10, maybe even something like that. But for the PSC specifically, I think 7.5 is what I'd give it out of 10. It's
Yeah.
good, but if I think if it had subtitles and worked a couple of those subtitles would have helped completely. I think we've gotten a solid 8 at least with that.
So like you said, your biggest issue is the story and some of the control elements, I guess you'd say.
Yeah, control layout is weird. Frame rate has some problems with the frame rate a good amount of times.
Really?
I had some frame rate issues.
So what
Did you?
PS3 are you playing on? No, I have not the Super Slim, but the one before that. For
Okay.
which one are you playing on?
I had a slim. I had like the 500 gigabyte one.
Like the Super Slim, that's like small as shit.
I don't know if it's a super slim. I think it's just a slim.
You know which one I'm talking about, right?
Yeah. I think it's just a
Okay.
regular slim.
Yeah, because that's what I was playing on. I didn't have too many issues.
Hmm.
Maybe a couple around the time that the slow mo kind of kicked in, but I figured that might just be due to that.
Right. No,
Uh,
yeah, I had some issues with frame rate. It wasn't awful, but like there was a good amount of times, especially when if things were getting like really hectic with enemies, it would drop a lot and it would be a little frustrating.
right. And let me see. And according to this, the DLCs were released in like a year later in 2006, and
Yeah.
then 2007. So Timegate Studios, like you said, actually released both of those.
Hmm.
And it's kind of weird because on Xbox 360 they had the Fear Files, which was the DLC for the Xbox 360. But I don't
Uh-huh.
remember that ever coming out for the PS3, and the PS3 actually got extra missions and stuff.
Yeah, it's hearing all that. I know like ports sometimes have like different versions and stuff. This one for some reason was like really chaotic. Probably definitely had something to do with like the rights being in dispute.
Yeah, because like you said, there was a lot of issues with developers and all
Hmm.
that.
And which I imagine this is definitely gonna be since I didn't watch the whole video, but I have a pretty good feeling of what might have caused this series to kind of, I'm not gonna say fall apart, but kind of just go away.
And what do you think that is?
Probably something to do with that, with the publishing issues, and that combined with my best guess, just what's it called, falling sales. Hopefully by then I can find more numbers for it. But I imagine Fear 3 probably didn't sell as well.
Okay, yeah. See, and that's what I was thinking, that maybe.
Kind of like what we saw with Dead Space.
Well, as far as like
Not the same
basically,
exact thing.
because if I'm not mistaken, like somebody had owned the name, and then somebody else actually owned the plot elements, something like that. So it's like it was being pulled in two separate directions. Because originally Fear 2 was just not gonna be called Fear 2, it's just gonna be called Project Origin,
Hmm.
which was actually voted on by the fans, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh.
Yeah. So I feel like that kind of back and forth may have diluted, some of the plot elements or where it's going to go. Because, like I said, I forget which studio did it, but they nixed a lot of the DLC. Like, oh, this isn't actually part of the story.
Okay. Yeah, and then I know a big thing too was just like how it got, like you said, it got more actiony, and then it probably I don't think it's never gonna be like a huge mainstream game. So I think it's better off for people to realize that, specifically like company heads and stuff, and just go, this has got that cult following, cater to them because that's your core audience right there. Not only is that your core audience, that's probably your only audience. So, and I think they strayed
Yeah.
too far away from that, and it didn't appeal to them. But then probably to like other people who are just like looking at it from the outside, just go, yeah, I don't think I'll be into that. And then next thing you know, nobody's really buying it.
Yeah,
Again, that's my guess. We will see when we get to those episodes, but that is what I would guess is going to happen here.
yeah, and like I said, it's Fear 2 is my favorite. But the difference is, I mean, I know we're getting to the other games now, but Fear 3, even though it kind of suffered more from that act, like kind of straying away from its original gameplay elements and story elements in a way, like straying away from fear to or scary kind of action,
Right.
Scary to action. I feel like that was still more of a joy to play with you than Dead Space 3 was.
Yeah, definitely. And you played Fear 3 by yourself, right?
Yes.
Was there, I mean, if we probably had more fun playing the co-op with me, but was there like a huge difference, or is just like, okay, it's better obviously, but not like leaps and bounds?
Nah, the biggest difference was the fact that I'm hanging out with you basically.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good time. It wasn't too hard.
It was a fun, like, that was a good game, but I just wanted to see like if it's just one of those games where like, oh, I would never play this alone because I'm not into it. But with someone, okay, I'll do it because that's how I feel about Dead Space 3. I'll never play that by myself, but if like you want to get back into it, like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, and yeah, for sure. Which I mean, like we said earlier, we do plan on playing it, playing through the whole series and releasing an episode on each one, which I think you'll enjoy because I think Fear 2 really tightened everything up a little bit.
Okay, yeah, I'm excited for that.
But I don't remember if there was that crazy like dust flying everywhere in Fear 2 like there was on Fear 1. But what's crazy, I mean, I guess this makes more sense with computer versions, but GameSpy actually praised the game's plot and gave it the Best Story Game of the Year award.
I guess with headphones in, it's a great story.
Yeah, for sure. And then plus, like you said, you kind of already knew everything that was going to happen.
Yeah, so I can't hold that against it.
Yeah, and then it even won in 2005 Best Action Game award.
That I could see.
Yeah, and it says it had brutally cunning AI and siege tactics. Fear's intense and prolonged combat makes mission goals easy to forget as you're crouched beneath a file cabinet with a far more immediate objective: survival by any means necessary. So I mean, that sounds intense.
Yeah, it was. Like I said, there were times where it did get a little frustrating because like, oh, come on, that's bull. But then you just do it a different way. You go, oh no, okay, it was hard, but it's very doable. Like those, speaking of RoboCop bots.
Oh, dude,
those things. That's the first thing I saw, like when it first came out from like that elevator thing. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, you definitely got to have your slow mo and your rocket launcher and that little lightning gun and all that shit.
Yeah, yeah, I like that. The what's it called, like the Ironizer or something? Just like,
yeah,
you do what like Alma does, just turn them to skeletons.
Yes,
that was pretty cool. That was very cool. I think another quick thing I'd say about this game, again, with this port, because again, I played it on the PC, and it's not fair because I am using hardware 15 years in the future from when this game came out. But even then, I just played it on 720, didn't even go all the way up. It looks way better than the PS3 version. The PS3 version just looks like a PS2.5 game. I know it's like rough, but like I said, just on the 720 setting on the PC, it's like it looks way better.
Damn. Okay, now I'm gonna have to actually install it and check it out. Yeah, because I'm pretty sure.
Like I actually look at characters and go like, okay, it's still not amazing, obviously, but okay, I can see what's happening here with them.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Even with the graphics cards that I have, it should be able to run it like top everything, no issues.
No, yeah, I think I could too. It's just it gets a little weird with it because it's one of those like the game's so old it doesn't know how to be on this crazy ass technology. What this is kind of a weird thing for me when this happened, but it kind of took me out of the game for a second. What are your thoughts on that? The fat engineer.
The fat engineer. To be honest, kind of forgettable.
Very forgettable, but I feel like they were trying to make him like comic relief or something,
Yeah.
and the only comedy in there that they went with was he's fat. And I know it's a different time, but even then, it's just like that's it. That's all you got.
Yeah, it was
It was weird. It wasn't awful. It didn't ruin the game. Kind of like you said, just push it aside, whatever. But it's just like so obvious what they're trying to do, and it's like this is not working. It's a good thing he's not in there a lot.
yeah,
Like his part of he has his own little song too. Like there's a tuba in there. Like we get it. He's fat. It was just like I said, they ruined nothing. It's very easily put to the side. But it was just like when I first saw it and I heard the music and everything, like what the fuck is happening right now? Is this gonna be a different game? Luckily it wasn't. But it was just like for that split second, I'm like, what the fuck is this?
yeah, it did kind of throw off the vibe.
Yeah.
But I guess because it was so awkward, I was like, oh, okay.
It was very weird. Yeah, it was just like out of nowhere.
Yeah, it didn't.
Like I'm all for the comic relief, like try.
But it was just it was just so tonally different than the rest of the game. That I mean, I guess maybe it should have stuck out, but I just kind of brushed past. I was like, okay, let's get back to the actual game.
Yeah, I guess that's I guess because I've never played it before. It was just like I think it was two after like a really intense part, and then that happens. You're like, what the fuck is this? This is not what I thought I was going to be doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring that up because like he keeps coming back. So the second time he comes back, like I wrote down, like, is this guy important? He better be, or else this is like nonsense.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he didn't really do much for me. It was kind of
no, yeah, I mean he didn't do anything. Yeah, too. That's another thing too. It's like I feel like maybe with the being able to understand like all the phone calls, the phone messages, and the radio calls, it'd be I'd be more invested. But I feel like even with that, given how the game is designed and stuff, I don't think I'd be like super. I don't think there's like any like well written characters or anything like that. It's definitely not the strongest point. I'm not saying again. I'm not really describing the overarching plot. I'm just specifically the characters. I don't think there's anyone in there I can get like super into.
Yeah, and Paxton Patel, he just was kind of your cliche, like creepy, mysterious guy. And like you said, the point man was very quiet, didn't really do anything of significance as far as he was basically like Isaac Clarke in the first Dead Space. Just didn't say anything. Didn't have any. I mean, basically, I guess they try to do it because your thoughts are essentially his thoughts.
Right. I think that's by design for sure.
But yeah, nothing extravagant or anything like. And then also all the side characters like Alma. She's just kind of there as a.
Right.
They didn't really try to humanize her until, I guess. Well, they do it kind of in short little segments where they're showing you being, taken. I guess towards the end.
Oh
yeah, like, give me back my baby. And as you're finding out the story of what happened to her, it's like, oh, okay. So she kind of got screwed over big time by her own dad, nonetheless. So that did kind of humanize her, but it's like, you've already been through the whole game.
Yeah.
And then they go to the second game and just totally like. I mean, you know what happens at the end of that one, so it's like, okay,
let's take that. Let's take that.
Yeah. So, yeah, and then like the whole team. It would have been cool if they would have built up the, because I know they say, oh, this is like a new team, this first encounter assault recon thing. This is brand new. So it would have been cool if they would have sat and like maybe said, these are some test missions we ran. We came across these weird things. This is how we developed this method because we've had other guys run into this or whatever. But they just kind of threw you like, hey, this is this new unit. Here's your first mission. We're going up against a crazy cannibal. So I wish they would have, I guess, built up the backstory and the history a little bit more.
Yeah, it's pretty. It all seems very interesting, but there's not a lot of like substance to it.
For sure. I mean,
like it's like when they mentioned like the whole like it's an army of like replicas with a psychic commander. Like on paper, even with context, that sounds fucking ridiculous. But I'm willing to like, just sit back and go, you know what? All right, that's what we're rolling with. Let's roll with it. But give me specifics. So why? And then I'll roll with it. You can't just say that and go, and then that's it. I'm like, no, why? Why are we doing this?
Yeah, it's very basic, bare bones.
Mm.
Which I don't know if the DLC. Well, like I said, the DLC I think got nixed.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I was gonna say maybe it would add to something, but yeah, I don't think it will. I don't know.
Since you played it, don't tell me too much. But with Fear 2, does it give you like more, or is it just more bare bones stuff?
It gives you a little bit more.
Okay.
But just a little bit.
This
I
is
mean,
still like mainly about the action.
Yeah, but to be honest, I don't remember every little thing about it.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think hopefully in a week or two we'll definitely have a clearer picture of what's going on once we beat it. But
okay, yeah, hopefully so.
Yeah, so I know you said the shotgun's your favorite weapon, but was there any other weapons that kind of caught your attention? Like, oh man, this is actually a little different. Because to me, Fear did have some unique guns.
Yeah, so you had like the typical ones: the shotgun, the assault rifle, submachine gun, the dual wield pistols. The ionizer, I know we mentioned that real quick. I missed out on the freaking penetrator. That is unfortunate on my end.
Yeah.
I think, and then the was it like the grenade launcher, like the auto cannon, whatever it's called? That was pretty cool.
Yeah, that one was dope. I did like that.
Like, was the shotgun your favorite weapon too? I know you asked me, but I just assumed that was because you were like right on there too.
Yeah, well, so it was.
Oh yeah, penetrator, right.
Yeah, penetrator, neck and neck, really, because the shotgun's cool because it miss people, but the penetrator's cool because you can stick someone to a wall. So I mean,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, it's a brutal game in a lot of aspects. I enjoyed it, but I would not play the PS3 port again. If I were to try it again, it definitely had to be on PC.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna download it and see what the main differences are, and maybe during our next episode we can kind of come back and say, yeah, I played a mission or two. It's way better in this regard or way worse.
Yeah, if it has subtitles, that's already an extra point right there for me.
Yeah, way more. I mean, because the story is like one of the biggest. It's one of the biggest aspects of a game, right? Like I mean, I know it's basically the gameplay and the story is what you're, and for you to lose out on the story, especially with the gameplay that's so old and kind of, I guess worn out after, I mean, fuck, it's, what was it? Came out in 2005.
So you have 15, 16 years now.
Yeah. So, well, I mean, and then the PS3 port, you said 2007.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's like 14 years, so the story would definitely have to, because that's some of the reasons I come back to old PS2 games, the story,
Yeah, I get you. Yeah, that was very disappointing with that, so hopefully with the next game that won't be an issue at all. I had fun with it. I'm glad I played it. I've heard so much about it, and when it first came out, I definitely was interested in it. I just never got around to it, so it was nice to check that off my list.
Yeah, for sure. That's one off the shame list.
Yeah, what would you give this game? I know you don't like doing that, but like if you had to, gun to your head.
Man, I guess maybe I'm trying to be as I feel like I may be giving it a better score. I guess maybe an 8, just but because I'm taking into consideration so many things, right? Like it is such an old game. And so I don't want to be too harsh, but now I feel like so maybe a 7.8, maybe a 7.8.
Okay.
Taper it down.
I mean, that's not too far from where I was. Maybe you going a little too nice on it, and I'm being a little too harsh on it. But it's about on par with what people would give it back then, specifically for this version.
Yeah. So yours is a 7 flat.
A 7.5. I give it a 7.5.
Okay. Which I mean, that's good. That's passing.
I mean, I guess for me, because I know like if you give a game like a 5 out of 10, you think, oh my god, it's awful. For me, that just means it's fine. Like there's nothing memorable about it. It's just a game. So when I give something like a 7 to like the 7.5 range, that means it's above average. I enjoyed it, but it's not gonna stick with me probably, minus certain things.
Yeah. So that being said, are you excited to play the rest of the series, or you're kind of like, let's see if it builds up?
I'm excited to see where it goes. Yeah, if you say the second one's your favorite, then I would take that into account. Then okay, it's good. It's at least better, and I'd probably be able to get more invested into the plot maybe this time around. And then the third one, obviously playing that again, the co-op campaign, that's gonna be fun too. So I'm looking forward to that as well. No, it's probably not gonna be like one of my favorite series I've played or that we review here, but I mean I don't hate it or nothing. Like I'm having a good time with it. Okay. What about you? Like, you think like this is gonna like change your opinion on this series, or it's just gonna be the same?
Yeah, see, I don't know, because it's been so long that I don't know. Maybe I might come back to this, because I remember the second one being better in like a lot of almost every aspect. Right. But I might come back and play and be like, oh, okay, this is not this is not as good as I remember.
Maybe we'll play the third one and go like, this is shit. Yeah. Oh, I don't think so, but I mean, it's possible. Or maybe we'll go, this is even better.
Yeah, well, maybe on PC it might. I don't know. I might play the second one on PC and see how it goes.
Didn't we just play the whole campaign split screen? I don't think we did it online. I know we did. I think we did. I know we did run split screen. I'm really trying to remember. Did we play it online?
I thought we did.
I don't remember.
I think we did, because I remember beating it in my room, and I remember having a headset on. So I think we did. I think you're getting confused, because that one day we were playing it all day at your house.
Maybe so. Maybe so. Room.
So, yeah, I don't. Because it's kind of weird too if we were trying to play it on PS3. Because I know the servers are kind of weird on like older games. Like we couldn't even do Dead Space 3.
Yeah, so this is definitely something better suited for the PC. Unless we want to play it on our own, then that's fine. But if we want to play a co-op, definitely got to be on PC.
Yeah, Sony's definitely like, they're trying to drop the PS3 like a hot potato. And the Vita too. Everybody forgets about the Vita.
Oh, the poor Vita. It was too ahead of its time. Wasn't marketed well. That's a whole different thing. Save it.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna go on my tirade.
It's a whole different thing. We don't worry. We'll have an episode for
that. Okay.
We gotta spread out our material.
Yes. So, man, this is what, episode 9 now?
I know. So that means most likely F.E.A.R 2 is gonna be episode 10. That's a pretty big milestone.
Yeah, like I said, I don't think most podcasts get past 9 or 10 episodes. So yeah, that'll be a big one.
Yeah, about 2.5 months.
Well, do you have anything else?
I think this is a tougher one, because I didn't have like prior history to it, so it's not like nostalgic for me. Yeah, and I'm not gonna. Again, I'm sounding really harsh here, but it's not gonna. It wasn't like this game that's like legendary. I mean, maybe for some people it is, but it's not like it's not up there in the upper echelon of gaming where it's like, oh, I never played Ocarina of Time. Oh, you gotta play that, and then you play it, and like I could talk hours about it now. This was it was a solid game. I enjoyed it, but I don't think it's gonna be in any of my top lists. But I am looking forward to playing the rest and seeing where it goes. That's about as much as I can say about it. After all this, what about you?
Yeah, that's really all. And I mean, it was kind of a little bit harder to talk about this game, I would say, because it's not. It's a game that I enjoyed, but it's not like a game that I'm super passionate. Like I could go on for hours and hours and hours about Skyrim or the Walking Dead Telltale, or I mean, there's a fuck ton of games. This one's just kind of one that we both looked at like, okay, yeah, we both have this, and I remember it being good. So I wasn't like, I don't know. It's just I really had to come up with things, a little extra, and delve into things I didn't really think about before playing it, the first time.
Well, I think that's good too. It kind of forces you to like come up with like new things that you wouldn't usually bring up. And another thing too is like with Dead Space, even if like the games were like meh like this, there was just so much backstory with the studio.
Yeah.
And here it's like it had some, but it's not like, at least not as of now, it's not like super dramatic. It's not like these crazy things happening. And again, I could not find a lot of info on the budget and the sales and stuff. Whereas Dead Space, I can really get in there. There's tweets on it and stuff. Like I am. There's a whole thing on that. So
Well, with the story being as confusing as it is now, I kind of want to look into some of the other media that is out there on Fear, because I think Dark Horse made a comic series or something about Fear.
yeah. So maybe the next one we'll be able to talk more about the story, because I'm definitely gonna look into like a synopsis of it, maybe like a video breakdown from maybe like a super fan of it who like can break it down. It's like, okay, cool. That's actually pretty neat. So we can talk about that in the next episode, and then have more background to kind of help us fill in the gaps if the plot is still kind of bare bones in the second one. We'll see. Hopefully not, but we will find out.
Yeah. And with all that being said, thank y'all for listening. We appreciate it. This is episode 9. I love you, bro. Thank you for being here with me.
Of course, man. Always here for you. And like Jerry said, thank you all for listening so much. Next episode, episode 10, huge milestone for us. And yeah, bro, I love you. Let's get to episode 10.
All right, later.
All right, bye. Be safe, y'all.
Yeah, be safe.